Do you mind if I pet your dragon? The room fell silent. The Galactic Council, known for its stern demeanor and serious debates, had never seen an interruption quite like this. Representatives from over 100 species, each one stranger and more alien than the last, turned their collective gaze toward the source of the question, a human. David Harris, the representative from Earth, stood at the center of the Grand Chamber with a bemused smile on his face. His question was directed at Counselor Zaru, a towering figure covered in shimmering, iridescent scales, whose companion was none other than the galaxy's apex predator, a Cathar. The Cathar, a dragon-like creature about the size of a human, was famous for its ferocity and intelligence. It was said that no being had ever tamed a Cathar, let alone approached one without fear. Yet here stood David, his hand outstretched as if inviting a neighborhood dog for a pat. Counselor Zaru's scales rippled in shades of green and blue, a clear sign of irritation. "Human, do you jest?" he hissed, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The Cathar are not pets. They represent the pinnacle of evolution, hunters without equal. To suggest otherwise is an insult to their nature." David shrugged, looking casual. "Well, I've always had a way with animals. Besides, how can we hope to understand each other if we don't even try?" The council members exchanged incredulous glances, and murmurs of disbelief spread through the room like wildfire. Humans were known for their audacity, but this was almost reckless. Zara's Cathar, named Zephyr, watched the human with piercing blue eyes. The creature's sleek, muscular body tensed as David took a step closer, a low growl escaping its throat, a sound that had sent chills down the spines of many a warrior. Yet, David remained undeterred. "Permission to approach?" David asked, his voice calm and steady. Zarf hesitated. This human was either very brave or very foolish, maybe both. Narrowing his eyes, he considered the request. There was a lesson to be taught here, either in humility or in respect for the Cathar's power. Slowly, he nodded. "Very well, human. Approach, but do so at your own risk." David grinned and moved forward, while the other council members leaned in, eager to see what would happen. Some even prepared to intervene, anticipating violence. But David appeared unaware of the tension, moving with a confidence that belied the danger. As he reached Zephyr, the creature's growl deepened. David paused, his hand still outstretched, and spoke softly, his words too quiet for anyone but the Cathar to hear. Zephyr's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, it seemed as if the dragon would strike. But then, inexplicably, the growl stopped. Zephyr's body relaxed, and the creature lowered its head. David's hand met the smooth, iridescent scales, and he began to gently stroke the Cathar's head. A collective gasp filled the chamber. Zaru's scales shimmered in confusion and awe. "How is this possible?" Zara muttered. David looked up, still petting Zephyr. "I think it's about trust," he replied, "and maybe a bit of understanding. We humans might be new to the galactic scene, but we're not without our own strengths." Zara stepped forward, studying the interaction closely. "You have done what no one else has dared, human. You have earned the respect of a Cathar. This is unprecedented." David chuckled. "Well, I'm just glad Zephyr likes me. I guess we're friends now, right, buddy?" Zephyr let out a low, rumbling sound that could almost be described as a purr. The chamber was filled with astonished silence, the gravity of the moment sinking in. The Galactic Council, an assembly of the universe's most powerful beings, had been shaken to its core. The implications of this event were profound. If a human could bond with a Cathar, what else were they capable of? As the council members began to murmur among themselves, Zaru raised a hand to silence them. "This day marks a new chapter in our understanding of humanity," he declared. "Let it be known that Earth is home to beings of remarkable courage and empathy. We have much to learn from them." David nodded in appreciation, though his attention remained on Zephyr. He had come to the council hoping to foster better relations between humans and other species in the galaxy. This unexpected bond with Zephyr was a step beyond his wildest dreams. As the session continued, discussions shifted toward the potential for collaboration and mutual respect. David's actions had opened a door many thought would remain forever closed. The Galactic Council, once divided by fear and mistrust, now had a reason to unite. And at the center of it all was a human, calmly petting a dragon-like creature, proving that sometimes the most extraordinary connections are forged through simple acts of kindness. The aftermath of that unprecedented moment lingered in the air, leaving the council chamber buzzing with new energy. David continued to stroke Zephyr, who now sat comfortably beside him, seemingly at ease. The council members exchanged glances, their earlier skepticism replaced with curiosity and respect. Counselor Zaru finally broke the silence. "Human David, your actions have indeed opened a new path for us. However, one instance of bonding does not fully bridge the gap between our species. We must understand the broader implications of this connection." David nodded and stood up to address the assembly. "I agree, Counselor Zaru. This isn't just about me and Zephyr. It's about the potential for humans and other species to find common ground. If we can build trust and respect, we can work together to achieve great things." A tall insectoid being with iridescent wings, Counselor Kuraz, clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "Human David, your proposal intrigues us, but actions speak louder than words. We propose a series of trials to assess this bond and its implications. Will you and your Cathar companion be willing to participate?" David glanced at Zephyr, who gazed back with a knowing look. "We're ready," he said with a determined smile. The following days were a whirlwind of activity. David and Zephyr were subjected to a series of tests designed to evaluate their bond and the potential for cross-species collaboration. The first trial took place in a controlled environment, a lush forest simulation within the Council's expansive headquarters. David and Zephyr were tasked with navigating a series of obstacles that required cooperation and trust. As they moved through dense foliage, they encountered various challenges: hidden traps, sudden drops, and simulated predators. Each time, David relied on his instincts and Zephyr's keen senses to guide them. At one point, they came across a wide chasm with only a narrow, unstable bridge to cross. David hesitated, assessing the situation. "Zephyr, we need to be careful. Can you fly us across?" Zephyr flapped his wings experimentally, creating a small gust of wind that made the bridge sway ominously. David took a deep breath and climbed onto Zephyr's back. With a powerful leap, Zephyr soared over the chasm, landing gracefully on the other side. David let out a relieved laugh, patting Zephyr's neck. "Good job, buddy." The council members observed from a distance, their expressions a mix of fascination and admiration. Zaru, who had been monitoring their progress closely, nodded approvingly. They worked together as one. "This bond is stronger than we anticipated." The second trial tested communication. David and Zephyr were placed in a vast, echoing chamber filled with shifting walls and hidden passageways. Their objective was to find an exit, but the path could only be revealed through sound and light patterns. David crouched beside Zephyr, looking into his eyes. "All right, Zephyr, we need to listen and watch carefully. Let's find the way out together." As they moved through the chamber, David whistled a series of notes, watching for the walls to respond with flashes of light. Zephyr, with his acute hearing, picked up on subtle shifts in the echoes, guiding David with gentle nudges. It was a delicate dance of auditory and visual cues, but they slowly began to map out the maze. At one point, David stumbled upon a dead end. Frustrated, he leaned against the wall. "This isn't working. We need a new approach." Zephyr nudged him insistently, then let out a series of growls and clicks. David listened carefully, realizing that Zephyr was mimicking the sounds of the walls. "You're right, Zephyr. We need to speak their language." Together, they created a symphony of sounds, matching the patterns around them. Gradually, the wall shifted, revealing the exit. David and Zephyr emerged from the chamber, exhausted but triumphant. The council members watching from above erupted into applause. Counselor Kuraz, who had been particularly skeptical, nodded in approval. "Their ability to adapt and communicate is remarkable. This human has proven that such a bond is not only possible but advantageous." The third trial was the most daunting, a test of survival on the harsh desert planet AKO. David and Zephyr were dropped into the middle of a sprawling wasteland with limited supplies and no clear direction. Their objective was simple: survive and find their way to the extraction point. The scorching sun beat down on them as they trudged through the sand. David shielded his eyes, scanning the horizon. "We need water and shelter, Zephyr. Let's keep moving." Hours turned into days as they navigated the treacherous terrain. David's resourcefulness and Zephyr's hunting skills kept them alive. They found water in hidden oases and hunted small creatures for sustenance. At night, they took turns keeping watch to ensure their safety. One evening, as they rested under a rocky overhang, David looked at Zephyr with gratitude. "I couldn't have done this without you, Zephyr. You're not just a companion, you're a partner." Zephyr rumbled softly in response, curling up beside David. Their bond had grown stronger with each trial, a testament to the potential for cooperation between humans and other species. As the days passed, they finally reached the extraction point, where a council ship awaited them. The council members, who had been monitoring their progress, welcomed them back with a mix of awe and respect. Counselor Zaru stepped forward, his scales shimmering with approval. "Human David and Zephyr, you have passed every trial with exceptional skill and unity. Your bond is a beacon of hope for the Galactic Council." David, weary but proud, nodded. "Thank you, Counselor Zaru. This is just the beginning. We can achieve so much more." The council chamber buzzed with renewed energy as discussions turned to the future. David and Zephyr's success had sparked a new era of cooperation and understanding, and the possibilities seemed endless. As the trials came to a close, David and Zephyr had not only earned the respect of the Galactic Council, but had also ignited a fresh dialogue about interspecies cooperation. Their bond was hailed as a breakthrough, proof of what could be achieved through mutual respect and understanding. Counselor Zaru took the floor, his voice resonating with authority. "We have witnessed the extraordinary bond between human David and Zephyr. This is more than a mere connection. It is a bridge between our species. The Council must now decide how to move forward with this newfound understanding." Standing beside Zephyr, David felt a surge of hope. "I propose we establish a program to foster similar bonds across the galaxy. By pairing representatives from different species with creatures like the Cathar, we can build a foundation of trust and collaboration." Counselor Kuraz clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Such a program could indeed revolutionize our relations. However, it must be approached with caution. The Cathar are not the only species capable of forming bonds, and we must consider the unique traits of each participant. As the council deliberated, David and Zephyr were given a moment to rest. They were led to a serene garden within the council's headquarters, a place of tranquility and reflection. David sat on a stone bench, and Zephyr curled up beside him, basking in the sunlight. "Well, Zephyr, it looks like we've started something big," David said, scratching Zephyr's chin affectionately. The Cathar responded with a contented rumble, closing his eyes. Their peaceful moment was interrupted by a soft chime, signaling their return to the council chamber. David and Zephyr made their way back, greeted by the expectant faces of the council members. Counselor Zara spoke first. "We have reached a decision. The council will endorse the creation of the Intergalactic Bonding Initiative. This program will be a collaborative effort to pair representatives from different species with compatible companions. The goal is to foster mutual understanding and respect, much like the bond between human David and Zephyr." The announcement was met with applause and nods of approval. David felt a surge of pride. "Thank you, counselors. I am honored to be a part of this initiative. I believe it will change the galaxy for the better." Counselor Kuraz stepped forward. "Human David, we would like you to lead this initiative. Your unique bond with Zephyr makes you the ideal candidate to guide others in forming similar connections." David's eyes widened in surprise. "I would be honored to lead this initiative. Together, we can create a more unified galaxy." With the decision made, preparations for the Intergalactic Bonding Initiative began immediately. David and Zephyr were at the forefront, traveling to various planets to share their experience and recruit participants. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with representatives from countless species eager to be a part of this groundbreaking program. One of their first stops was the planet Thaz, home to a race of sentient, tree-like beings known as the Idris. The Idris had long been isolated, their mistrust of other species deeply rooted in their culture. David knew this would be a challenging but crucial mission. As they arrived on Naz, they were greeted by the Idris leader, Elder Thorn. His bark-like skin and slow, deliberate movements gave him an air of wisdom and age. "Welcome, human David and Zephyr. We have heard of your bond and are curious to learn more." David bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Elder Thorn. We believe that by forming bonds with other species, we can create a more connected and understanding galaxy. We hope to share this experience with your people." Elder Thorn nodded slowly. "We are cautious but willing to listen. Show us this bond you speak of." David and Zephyr demonstrated their connection through a series of cooperative tasks, showcasing their ability to communicate and work together seamlessly. The Idris watched intently, their skepticism slowly giving way to curiosity and admiration. One young Idris named Arinder stepped forward. "I wish to participate in this initiative. If the bond between human David and Zephyr is possible, perhaps there is hope for us to connect with others as well." David smiled warmly. "Arinder, we would be honored to have you join us. Together, we can pave the way for a more unified galaxy." With each new planet they visited, the intergalactic bonding initiative grew stronger. Participants from diverse species formed bonds with creatures unique to their worlds, fostering a spirit of cooperation and mutual respect. The galaxy began to transform, one bond at a time. Years passed, and the impact of the initiative was profound. Conflicts diminished, alliances strengthened, and the Galactic Council, once a place of discord and division, became a beacon of unity and collaboration. David and Zephyr continued to lead the initiative, their bond an enduring symbol of what could be achieved through trust and understanding. They had turned an improbable friendship into a movement that changed the galaxy. One day, as they stood on the steps of the Galactic Council's headquarters, David looked out at the bustling activity around them. Representatives from countless species mingled, sharing stories and experiences. The galaxy was a different place, a better place, because of the bond between a human and a Kadhar. David turned to Zephyr, who looked back with eyes full of wisdom and affection. "We did it, Zephyr. We really did it." Zephyr rumbled softly in agreement, and together they stood, watching as the galaxy they had helped unite continued to grow and thrive.